Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani was busy last week making a number of media appearances, doubling down on statements regarding President Obama's upbringing, even remarking that the president doesn't love America. This morning, in a new op-ed for the Wall Street Journal, Giuliani attempts again to clarify his controversial comments, and he doesn't.
Yeah, he does.
No, he calls it my blunt language. What does blunt language mean? If he would perhaps say my inappropriate and untrue language.
So what's he say?
Then he would be backing off.
So what's he say?
Suggesting that the president doesn't love America, notwithstanding, I didn't intend to question President Obama's motives or content of his heart. My intended focus was really the effect his words and his actions have on the morale of the country, and how that effect may damage his performance. Still, the former GOP presidential candidate went on to criticize Obama for his, quote, inability or disinclination to emphasize what is right with America. On Friday, White House Press Secretary Josh Earnest responded to Giuliani's earlier comments.
I can tell you that it's sad to see when somebody who's attained a certain level of public stature and even admiration tarnishes that legacy so thoroughly. And the truth is, I don't take any joy or vindication or satisfaction from that. I think really the only thing that I feel is I feel sorry for Rudy Giuliani.
You know, Willie, I actually been critical of Rudy Giuliani. I can't let a White House spokesman, though, say something like that when Nancy Pelosi and others have called Republicans unpatriotic for doing things that most people would not consider to be unpatriotic. But let me ask about Rudy Giuliani last week. I was surprised he went as far as he did, and I couldn't figure out why he was doing it.
He's always kind of walked the line, but he's always stayed on the side of the line that maintained, the way Josh Earnest put it, his status. It felt like last week he went over the line. He said something once, and you figure, I know he went on with the two of you and sort of walked it back, but then that very night went back in and doubled down on it.
He had a different audience that night.
He had a different audience. He was on Fox News.
The hypocrisy of it all. And Josh Earnest was absolutely right. And quite frankly, I question the patriotism of someone who questions the president's patriotism without any policy that he's talking about behind it, or any decision that he's made behind it, just again, genuinely questioning his patriotism.
I disagree.
And he doesn't own 9/11.
Mika,
he was great during 9/11, but my God, his comments were off the hook. They were crazy.
Can I say, I think they were off the hook too? But again, I just have to bring up again, if Democrats are going to beat their chest in self-righteous indignation, I'm sorry, how many times have Democrats called George W. Bush or Republicans unpatriotic over the past 10, 15 years?
It's a huge double standard in the media.
It happens all the time.
Every reporter has to look at this as a case and say, is this a standard we're going to hold everybody to? Or
just
is this a tougher
Republicans?
standard?
So something didn't seem off and random about
Yeah, it seemed off and random, but it seems off and random when Nancy Pelosi calls Republicans unpatriotic. But nobody in the mainstream media notices or cares. And yet I didn't hear you going on a tirade. Every time Democrats call Republicans unpatriotic. Keith Olbermann on this network said some of the most horrific things about the President of the United States. I didn't see people's hair going up in flames then. You were certainly here when Keith Olbermann would say things at night on this network that would make Rudy Giuliani look like he was at a tea party.
I think that's a false parallel.
No, that is not a false parallel. And I heard nobody in the mainstream media's hair catching on fire going crazy.
Okay, actually,
he got away with it for years.
What if Dick Cheney had nuzzled the hair of a woman standing at a photo op in the White House for 23 seconds? What would the reaction of the press have been?
I don't know. What you think?
Oh my God! What? Do you mean you don't know?
No.
Don't play dumb.
People in the media would have won charges brought against
Oh my God!
Well, it's how you do it.
All right.
It's all in the delivery.